So first I want to explain why I'm in the car. This is the only quiet place at this time of night right now on this specific day. So that's why I'm in the car. But person I interviewed was, Lindsay Pickering. She actually works here at UMSU. She's in the athletic department, obviously. She's the assistant director of athletics for academics. So to sum it up in a nutshell, basically, like, if you've seen Last Chance U, she's Miss Wagner. In this first couple seasons, she's Miss Wagner. But basically, she's basically like the person who, if a kid is like sort of failing, and if an athlete is like failing or look like they're failing in the class or struggling with the class, she's the one who they go talk to. She's the one who's gonna help them find a tutor. She's the one who's gonna help them find study skills. She basically is just basically the overseer for athletes, for academics for athletes. That's basically what she is. I chose Lindsay because honestly, this is literally my last option. Like I emailed a lot of people, nobody would really respond. So Lindsay was my last option. I knew she would respond. So that's how I chose Lindsay. Basically, I feel like for her job, she basically has to be more like the initiator, because as a student athlete, you're not gonna really. She even said in an interview, she said, like, we're not the type to ask for help because we're the competitive type. We try to get through it by ourselves and stuff, and we've always had to fight through adversity. So I feel like for her, she has to be the initiator for the conversations of, like, do you need help, or why are you struggling, or is there something I can do to help? So basically, I feel like that's, for a leadership role, that's what she has to take on, is her basically initiating the conversations and her reaching out. Not her always reaching out, but her, making an effort to show that she cares about the students, What I found most interesting about her job was that, like, I just think it's real crazy how she has to, it's a lot. It's like, I want to say 300 athletes, maybe even more. I mean, that's a lot of athletes to keep up with, and I think she does a pretty good job, of keeping everything organized. If you go to Mark Twain, she has her own office, but she also has, outside of her office, literally in the room, is like a study hall, and she has students in there always working. So I just think that the most surprising thing is, like, how organized she is and how well she keeps everything intact. But I also want to acknowledge her that she's always checking in. Like, with me, I get a text from Lindsay almost, if it's not every week, it's every other week, like, how are your grades? Or I see you're doing good in this class, keep it up. It's just words of encouragement. That's as a college athlete, if it's not your coach or your teammates, you need somebody, with that status, that that age, and that's been through it all, to say, like, you're doing good, keep it up. Or she was a student athlete. She played soccer, so I feel like she knows personally what we go through. Like I said in the video, I said mentally, she knows some of that stuff. Physically, she knows it, and she even knows that sometimes your coach could be not the best person in the world, and you always don't agree with them, and you guys are gonna bump heads, and she understands that. But she also understands that the time management aspect, and that it can be done, and that, like, she's not gonna settle for you trying to give up. She's gonna really push you to be the best person you could be. So I tip my cap to her for that. I feel like I also acknowledge her for, like, changing up how she did. Soon as the pandemic hit, she had to change. Like, she's so used to having that personal connection, and students always coming to her office asking her for help. But over the pandemic, obviously, we couldn't have face-to-face contact. So I think she did a good job during the pandemic, reaching out, like I said, consistently, making sure all the student athletes were okay, considering the fact that we're all at home. We can all be going through something else, but she was making sure, doing her job and making sure that we all were doing good. So with her job, I think that was probably a very difficult transition from always having that personal connection and personal interaction with the students to just, going to everything on Zoom and everything online. So personally, I think she did a great job with, the transition, which everybody in the world knew was hard, and it wouldn't be the best transition in the world. But my biggest takeaway is, like she said, when you're trying to get your foot in the door, or if you're just trying to land that first job, or, just anything, it's that first impression, always speaking to somebody of that higher status, because they're going to always remember that. But it's also networking and talking to people, and the people and the people that they may know. So I just think it's both of those, just the whole first impression, and you making a great first impression. But I think also, I'm sorry, somebody distracted me. But I also think that it's the whole networking piece. But that's my video.